This is very, very important. Always start with a question. Never start anything without a question. Because the brain works that way only. The moment you have a question, see, you need a container. For instance, let me give you an example. Suppose I want to collect a bucket of water. Suppose I pour it on a flat surface like this. Can I collect? I can't collect even one glass of water. So, until a container is there, any amount of information is useless. Today, we have flat surfaces in our brain. We pour in information a lot. They come and they go. What do we remember? Nothing, because nothing is contained. So, we need a container. Are you following this? The container could be small or big. At least if it is small, that much of information can store. You can increase the size later on. But you have to start with a question. Container. The container is the question. The moment you ask a question, a container is ready. Then you pour in the information, that the information goes. If you don't ask the question, it is a flat surface. The information comes, doesn't know where to stand, go. So suppose I pour water on this, and if it doesn't contain here, it is not water's fault. Right? It is my foolishness to think that water will collect here. Right? Yes or no? So I need a container. That is what the question provides. So don't start anything in your life without asking a question. Don't ask it to somebody when they get irritated. Ask it to yourself. So like the simple question, why should I do this? What do I learn out of it? Why should I study this? Especially they will introduce all sorts of things in your textbook. You will see no connection because your teachers don't see any connection. But you have to find a connection. If the connection was not there, they would not have put it there. Yes? Especially information science. They have put all sorts of things into that. But there is a purpose behind it. Because tomorrow, when you are actually getting into the field, any area you can get into. Okay? So you find the connection. They will not give you the connection, ready-made. You find the connection. Okay? So what kind of questions to ask? This is a $1 million thing. This is the most important thing on earth. Actually, all students first should be trained in this and then should be given information. But unfortunately, this is an unknown quantity. Though, in 1956 only this classification came in. Say I have mentioned Bloom's taxonomy in 1956. So in 1956 even I was not born. Okay, so this is older than me. In spite of that, it is not being used even today properly. All B.Ed people study this. Unfortunately, they don't remember this because they study as part of the curriculum, not to use it day to day. But every day we are using it. Now what I am trying to give you is, I am giving you a complete gist of what all base questions can come on earth. So any examination you can face, any examination, any level, you can face by knowing this. Right? Yes? Now what they are measuring through examination is one of these: your knowledge, your comprehension, comprehension, your understanding, your application, how well you are able to use it, how well you are able to analyze what information you have got, how well you are able to synthesize different kind of information into connection, one to another, and how well you are able to evaluate, value. Okay? So these are the 6 different questions they will be asking depending upon the level. Almost all the new tape comes to the first one, that is objective questions. Usually will be, I will go step by step, one after the other. You understood these 6? Okay, we will go each one in detail. Now, knowledge measures whether you know it or do not know it. That's all. Now the kind of questions you will get, all multiple choice is knowledge measuring. See, I give you a clue. All questions with 1 mark or probably 2 mark are knowledge questions. Okay. So almost all your objective type are 1 mark only. So they have to be knowledge based. So what, where, when, list, narrate, state, write, label, name, define, all these questions will try to measure your knowledge. Do you know this or do you not know this? So when you study, you have to ask these questions first. Do I know what this is? Do I know where it is used? Do I know when we use this? These kind of questions should be always asking. Are you following this? If you ask these questions when you are studying only, you will not have difficulty when somebody asks you the same question in the examination. Are you following this? Because we have never asked these questions for ourselves, suddenly if we see a question in the examination, we get 500-volt shock. Okay? If we had prepared ourselves by asking these questions, examination will not be difficult because they can't ask beyond this. The list that I am providing you, they can't ask beyond this. So if you prepare yourself for these, they can't ask anything. So you can even take a challenge to them. What question can you ask which I don't know? This I already prepared. Okay. So especially if you are tackling any competitive examination, these are the questions you have to ask. Right? Any information, any concept you come across, these are the questions you have to ask. And these are all not difficult, These we have come across so many times. Almost all your exams will have these kind of questions. Is it not? So if you come across more than one information, list will come into the picture. Can I list them properly? Sometimes you have to list them in order. Can I list them in order? So you have to think before you actually get it. You have to prepare yourself before you take in the information. Lack of preparation means lack of content. As good as not study. If there is no container, there is no use in taking. Suppose they tie your hands at the back and say eat. How will you eat? Not possible. Okay, though we have the mouth. There need to be a mechanism, a tool for us to take it. Okay. Then without the mouth, suppose your mouth is closed and then you are asked to eat. Can't. Are you following this? So same way for information, it has to go in somewhere. So get it right by asking a question. Then take that information. It goes and gets stuck. And it will be accessible to you whenever you want it. Because the same question will be asked in the question paper. Can they ask you any question beyond this? Tell me. For knowledge. So you are prepared for this. Let them ask whatever. I don't care. That should be your attitude. You should take examination as a challenge. What kind of question they can ask me? Tell me. That should be your attitude. Today we think examination is kind of a devil. Or you, if they ask this thing, they can't ask beyond the syllabus. They are following this. They can't ask any question. They have to ask within that only. They are restricted. Because they are restricted, you are not. So you should take it as an advantage. But we are restricted by ourselves. We think if you know from 4th chapter enough, 5th chapter is not okay. That is why we feel afraid of questions. The moment we read a question, our heartbeat increases. Okay? Actually, no. Okay, next. In terms of comprehension, they will ask these questions. These are usually 2 to 5 marks. They would like to know not only that you know it, but also you are able to explain it in your own words. So why, how, explain, interpret, describe, summarize, illustrate, paraphrase, elaborate, elucidate, etc. So many a times this first and second question may come together as a single question. What is electricity? Explain how electricity will function in this particular thing. Okay, both will be combined. Are you following this? These are the kind of questions you have faced until now and you will be facing also. Okay. So when you ask this question, prepare for yourself for this. You are reading it to get ready for the answering the question. Okay. You are not reading for knowing it. They are not measuring your knowledge. They are measuring your ability to put it across. Can you write it? So that we understand that you know. So you have to prepare for it. When you ask these questions and then read, it will become more meaningful than when you just read it as it is. Okay? Then third is application. How are you going to use this? So not that we just should know, but we must be able to apply this because anything will have its own application. So they may ask uses, all your mathematical problems are these questions only, solve. Okay, they will ask a question mark, so you have to solve the problem. So calculate, compute, demonstrate, apply, construct, examine. Now, most of the elaborative answers, more than 5 marks or 5 marks, will be of this kind. So here they are not asking you knowledge. They have already asked you whether you know it or not. Don't try to put explanation and knowledge here. If they ask you about application, just stick to application. Just mention what it is in one sentence. Okay? Most of your answers should be about the question. Okay? So reading and understanding a question becomes essential in your examination. It becomes easy when you have already prepared for it. If you have prepared, for instance, you come across a concept, let us say. That concept, if you have asked these questions and prepared accordingly, any question they ask in the examination, you know exactly what you have prepared and then you can write it. If you have not prepared in a structured way, suddenly we see the question, we don't know what to answer. Because many times when they ask a question, we don't know whether they are checking our knowledge or whether they are checking our comprehension or whether they are checking our application capability. We don't know. Correct, no? So we don't know what to write, how much to write. So we start spending too much time on that. Many times even looking at the CV. They don't give marks for looking at the CV. Okay, but most of the students spend majority of the time in the examination looking at the CV. Okay, so one fine day, some TV should come on TV and then show you the answer. That's what they are expecting looking at the CV. So 3 hours is 3 hours. All 3 hours you are supposed to write, not look at the ceiling, not look here and there, not sit there, what is he doing, etc. But students today, after they come out of the examination hall, their observation is so keen on other things than writing the exam. So if you ask a student how many people came in and how many people went out of the examination hall, they will tell you accurately. They are not supposed to do that. Is it not? Next is analysis. So here you are not only supposed to know it, you are not supposed to explain it, you are also supposed to analyze it in terms of its capabilities, shortcomings, how depth it can go, and how it is comparable or contrasting. Next we have synthesis. So you need to formulate, make up, design, create, develop, invent, hypothesis. Here they are trying to measure your innovativeness and your capability to create it. By having this information, are you able to use this in a unique way? Is what they are trying to measure. Actually, this particular thing should be given maximum importance in students' life. But unfortunately, today we have a system where they don't expect you to think on your own. They don't consider a student to be a thinking animal. Okay, the education system doesn't even think that a human being is a thinking animal. They think that they are just information storage zombies. But we are not, we are thinking animals. Okay? And the only animal which can think is human beings. We have got such a huge brain, whole thing capable of thinking, which no other organism has. Such a huge cerebrum. No other human, no other living being has. Such a huge cerebrum and the cortex is present basically for us to think. And we can carry on different types of thinking compared to any animal on earth, which they can't. This is what gets trained in the so-called education, which is what should be trained in the education. But unfortunately, the syllabus, those who put the syllabus don't understand that they are training a skill. Okay, thinking skill. But that is what gets measured here. Are you able to think laterally? Are you able to think divergently? Are you able to use this for different applications? For instance, let us say you are a software programmer. Studying one program, can you use the same principle to apply it to some other program and solve some other problem? Is it possible? Yes or no? Yeah. So, for instance, a civil engineer, what you may study may not be the actual thing, but using those principles, you can solve a number of problems. Is it not? That's where your divergent thinking comes from. That is being measured. That thinking you should do when you prepare. Okay. So, for instance, when you say they are measuring, they don't have to tell you what to do. You must know why you are measuring. So, if you think, why should I know about length and breadth and other things before I construct something? You will answer those problems. Then that will not become a difficult. Okay. So, like for instance, in mathematics, you study parabola, hyperbola, etc. Right? Why are you studying that? Yes. So many engineering students. Yes. Architecture. At least have you asked this question, why are we studying this? Because it is there. That is why we struggle. If you ask the question, you can solve 101 problems. Okay? Even in your school, if you had asked, why should I measure the circle's circumference? Why should I know the difference between radius and circumference? Okay? Are you following this? Why should I measure the area of a circle? If you had asked those questions, today you would not have had so much of difficulty. But we don't ask those questions. We just find out the area, we are busy finding out the area. Why should we find out the area? Can you tell me? You have found out the area of so many things, no? Yes or no? Why?
Find out how much things you can put in the circle.
Okay. What else?
To know how much it can sustain.
Contain. Correct. How much more you can't put. Okay? Or if you are taking from it, what is it that we can take out from it? Or you can compare between one circle and another. Or one circle and one rectangle. You can't compare it through shape, you can compare it through area. Yes or no? Right? One could be a circular shape, one could be a trapezium shape, another could be a prism shape, another could be any shape. But they are not comparable across shapes, they are comparable across areas. Have you ever thought about this? Has any maths teacher told you about this? No. Which is where the skill is not, neither you think nor they give. So the whole system is like total blind. You must have heard about 4 blind people trying to identify an elephant. Yes? None of them are wrong, but none of them are also right. You need to get an overall picture. Are you following this? If somebody had asked this question to you in your school would have been a beautiful thing. Okay? Correct? But who stopped you from asking this question? Nobody stopped you, but you didn't ask the question. So that is exactly why our enjoyment is under our control. If you ask the right question, we can enjoy. If you don't ask the question, we suffer. So even now, because I have asked you this question, take it from me, your future, how many more years you are going to put is going to become enjoyable for you. Because you can ask these questions. Okay? And you can solve a lot of problems. Once you ask the question, automatically you have to supply the answer, you start thinking. If you don't ask the question, you cannot think. Thinking gets stopped. Okay? Last evaluation, this is the most crucial because typical evaluative thinking is trained here. So, determine, select, critique, evaluate, recommend, justify, judge, advantages, disadvantages, merits, demerits. You must have already come across a lot of questions like this. So, you are supposed to find out what are the, everything will have its own advantages, its own disadvantages. Our job as professionals is to find out something which has more advantages than disadvantages. I like this. So to do that, we need to know the advantages of all and the disadvantages of all. So my suggestion to you is, next time you open a textbook, before you open a textbook, ask any one of these questions. Right? And then get into the textbook. The whole thing will become enjoyable. Plus you will get a lot of information and you can remember it forever. Once you go with the question, whatever you study, you can remember. That is exactly why we remember movies. You go with the question. Is it not? When the hero is walking, why are you observing him walking? Have you not seen anybody walking in life? But why are you watching him? Even if he walks for 5 minutes, you will be watching him. Why? Like for instance, a fighting scene. Keep on fighting for 5-10 minutes. Why are you watching that? This fellow hits that fellow, this fellow. Finally, hero is going to win. Everybody knows that. But why are we watching for 5-10 minutes? Because you are questioning every day. Why are you watching a cricket? Easily, one of the team is going to win, or maybe draw. That's all. Why are we watching it? Because we have a lot of questions. Yes or no? If you can ask those questions there, why are we not asking here? Not that we are incapable. We are. We ask those questions elsewhere, but we don't ask them here. Suppose, let us say they are taking you on a trip. Will you go to the trip without a single question? Yes or no? Tell me.
Yes.
Will you go?
Will
No. You will ask 101 questions. Where are we going? Why should we go so early? Right? How much time will we spend there? What all is there to see? Blindly you will not go there and then open your eyes and then beautiful city, then close your eyes and then come back. No. You want to see every inch. Yes?
Yes.
Why are we not doing that in the textbook?
Because we are interested in that.
So you are interested in that because you are not supposed to do. In the sense, every day you are not doing it. Suppose every day you are supposed to do it, you will not get interested in that also. So you go to, let us say, a pool, and you say, oh, beautiful scenery, those people will be surprised. What is beautiful? They will be. Because they see it every day, for them it is not beautiful. Okay, so suppose you see something so deep, you look at it and say, oh, how beautiful. Those people will have to go there, in the sense walk there, so they know how tough it is. For them, they will be looking at how difficult it is. You will not have to walk there, you just have to see it. So you will say beautiful. So, if trip is your regular duty, you will hate that also. So for instance, drivers and conductors, you tell them, every day you are taking a trip. Fantastic, you are given salary for taking a trip. Do you think they will enjoy? No. So because this is away from your routine, you like it. So what I say is, what is your routine? Start liking it. Okay, then it makes a lot of difference.